You are now listening to Rings Kings Boxing World Flash Report.
All right, shout out to the fam and the Ring Kings Boxing community. I'm Big Q. On this episode of Ring Kings Boxing, man, we're going to talk about some very important and really awesome fights that occurred over this past weekend, man. There were really some solid fights. We're talking about Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman, which was interesting. I expected, Sebastian to knock out Keith Thurman. I didn't think, as good as Keith Thurman has been, he won 2 fights in a row since the loss against Pacquiao. And I thought that he would kind of struggle against Fundora, obviously because of the size disadvantage. Now, Keith Thurman does what he does. He went in there before the fight, talked the big game, but Fundora does what he does is just ugly 5 fighters. Keith Thurman was kind of upset with the referee at the end of the fight, but he really needed to send the man a gift basket or something, because he was going to really do damage to Keith Thurman. Keith's 37 years of age, on the back end of a very solid and respectable career. There is no shame in losing to Fundora the way he did. And it was just simply one of the situations where he was going to get hurt bad, and the referee seen it just like we seen it. He wasn't doing any damage, and ultimately the guy was going to really do him dirty. So at the end of the day, Sebastian did a wonderful job in just dispatching him. We're going to cover that in this episode and talk about that. Also, Moses Itama versus Jermaine Franklin went into the fight. Jermaine cut all his hair off, and then Moses took him apart. I mean, Moses split him like the Red Sea. We're going to use biblical verbiage, but Moses Itama is every bit the real deal. He will. I mean, listen, Jermaine Franklin isn't like a top-notch fighter, but he's one of these guys that you put a young fighter like Moses Itama against him and see what he can do. He has good ring generalship. Talking about Jermaine Franklin, he doesn't have the extra to be a consistent champion, but he's a good test fighter, a guy that would test Moses to see what a lot of people thought Dillian White would be that guy. He dispatched him and got him out of there. Now, credit to Franklin, he did march him 5 rounds into the fight, but boy, was he taking some awful punishment for Moses Itama. And like I said, I like Moses a lot. I thought he needed to be tested more, but it's hard to get competition to stay in there long enough with him to see the rest of his skills. But boy, he has the quick hands. He's a heavyweight, but he fights like a cruiserweight. He's very active in throwing his shots and upstairs, downstairs. He has a chin too. We've seen Franklin land a good punch on him as well. He's absorbed it, but he's very active in the ring, upside, hitting them up, head, body, mixing his punches up, hooks, jabs, uppercuts. He is a very good young fighter, man. So we'll talk about that matchup as well in this episode, and plus the stuff around it. My goodness, man. In terms of some of the, I ain't gonna say controversies that occurred in after these matchups, but I'm gonna play for you some stuff that we've seen, so we can kind of get into it and talk about it as well in this episode of Ring King Boxing. So y'all feel free to hit that like button as we get going in this episode of Ring Kings Boxing, man. And like I said, man, just an incredible weekend of fights, but in particular, those fights were really the ones that kind of drew our attention because of how really serious they were. So anyway, let's just kind of start off with this one right here and get right into it, man. Is Sebastian Fundora crushes Keith Thurman, and he did really crush Keith Thurman and took him apart in this fight. And it was just the Towering Inferno, right? He defended that WBC junior middleweight title with a one-sided TKO of former unified champion Keith Thurman at the MGM in Garden, arena. He has an 11-inch height and reach advantage to dismantle Thurman. Thurman was totally uncomfortable. He nearly floored him in the second round. His flurries, he had him on the run a lot of times. And he just dominated him. He outlanded Thurman in every round. Thurman never was able to get more than 7 punches in a single round. and it's just he just dispatched him in every possible way. And then he landed 36 punches in the 5th round, the most any opponent ever landed in a single round against Keith Thurman. And like I said, Thurman is not a bum fighter. He wasn't a fighter that was not active. Like I said, since the Pacquiao fight, he won 2 fights, so he was really feeling good at the age of 37. Got a matchup lined up with Sebastian Fundora, and Fundora, was able to get him out of there. But the accuracy, Fundora was 50% power punches connected to him, So that just showed clinical precision on how he was able to batter the body and the face of Keith Thurman. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Keith Thurman was totally outpointed. Now, Sebastian was 96 out of 351%. 396 completed out of 351 attempts. That's 27% of total punches thrown and landed. The power punches was 64 of 129, which is 50% according to CompuBox punch stats. He jabbed at him 32 times, thrown. He actually landed on 32 of 222, which is 14%. So Keith Thurman was moving and shaking. But when he hit him with power shots, that was the thing that really kind of set the balance. He was able to connect and turn and just really batter and bruise Keith Thurman with shots. And Thurman was kind of sifted out, trying to see if he could find an opportunity to land shots on Fundora. But Fundora is not given credit for a big man, punches at different angles. As a smaller fighter, you have to watch out for that because of the reach. You got to be able to time the reach, and it's most uncomfortable. Plus, punching upwards at a taller fighter is something that you have to calibrate as well when you're fighting big old fighters like this. Not just big slovenly guys, but active. This guy is active in the ring. He punches at different angles, and when he hits you, he hurts you with those long limbs. Plus, he keeps guys away. Now, we seen the fight when he fought Tim Tszyu. The couple of times he did, Tim Tszyu was able to take a terrible amount of punishment in his face, right, balls, and then able to kind of land these long lopping shots at Fundora in an attempt to cause damage to him. Now, he did bust him up in this sort of thing, but Fundora over those 2 fights improved his game to be more tactical in how he approaches these fighters. But he showed that he has a chin as well, and that he's not just a tall fighter in there just doing, just flailing limbs. He actually has skill to him. Now, Keith Thurman total punches 28 of 119 for 24%. Power punches 25 of 97 for 26%. Jabs thrown, 3 jabs landed out of 22, which is 14%. So you can see the numbers were not as good for Thurman in this fight. So it was a good fight indeed. We seen what happened there as Sebastian Fundora was able to take apart Keith Thurman, man, and it was a good fight. So a lot of people feeling good about Fundora, 24-1-1 with 16 knockouts, and he's going to be looking ahead at much greener pastures to see who he wants to beat. And then, of course, like the article pins and talk about, is the fact that he says this was mentioned about, it's going to take a real top talent to beat Fundora these days. Brian Mendoza landed one great punch that can happen, but Fundora is better now that he was then, too. Hopefully everyone can find him a worthy next challenger. The 2 most intriguing names at 154 for him would be Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, and Ortiz is tied up in a spat with Golden Boy at the moment, where Ennis is a matchroom fighter whose fellow 154 titleist Xander Zayas and Josh Kelly are also worth considering as well. Now, we know that the rumor is Boots is supposed to be taking on Xander Zayas next. That is the rumor that came out, and I don't know if it's we heard the rumor. I don't know if it'll be something that is consistent with what was being reported, but there is the rumor that Jaron Boots Ennis is trying to line up a unification bout with Xander Zayas next, coming up, I think sometime in the summer. I'm going to get that article for you. But first, while I'm doing that, I want y'all to peep out what was said by Keith Thurman after the fight. Usually you want to hear from the winner, but the winner he went to business, took care of business. But in this moment, to talk about the interesting commentary was made by one Keith Thurman after the fight. Take a listen.
Unified champ Mr. Keith One-Time Thurman. And I will turn it over to Keith. And Keith, if you just wanted to open it up, obviously, certainly not the result you wanted. Just thoughts on the fight and what happened.
Well, first off, man, it was just a great fight. Thank God, man. It's beautiful boxing stage. It felt good to be on that stage once again. Fundora's a tremendous champion. But whoever the fuck that referee was, don't hire him for fucking main event shit ever again, man. Real talk. Do you remember Eric Morales versus Marcos Maidana? Do you remember how many times people fought with broken orbital bones? Shit's not even broken, man. Never got dropped in the whole fight. I'm getting caught on the back end of punches. The referee told me in the locker room, show me something. Move your feet, duck your head. I won't stop the fight. I'm using my legs. I'm getting caught on the back end. I wasn't buckled. He just jumped in like a white rabbit, man.
White rabbit.
Them little hoppy referees, they're not made for main event boxing. The fight was getting fun. The people were standing on their feet. We was just getting into the grind, And he was getting really comfortable swinging wide, swinging big, swinging wide. Because he's young, because he trains hard, he put that press. Because he's a volume puncher. He put that press, and the referee reacted to that, So Fundora's preparation, his fight style, it all ended up planning out for him. But as an OG, man, 4 more minutes, it would have been a lot of fun, I promise you. 4 more minutes.
4 more minutes.
And he could have made a mistake right in front of me, man. I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to be one of these kind of tough fights against a young champion, and I had that long-term vision. But the ref didn't let me get there, man. So it was unfortunate.
The ref didn't let you get there.
I'm grateful. I'm okay. I'm able to talk to you guys. I
Thanks
don't
to
need
the
to be
ref.
in the hospital.
Thanks to the ref.
Everything is what it is.
Yes.
I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, ICI.
ICI?
Just, I'll be back, man. I want to do great things in boxing once again, and I'm going to come back hard. I'm going to come back strong.
All right, so let's stop it right there. And listen, man, the referee that they had lined up for this fight is one of the best referees in the sport of boxing. I would say when I watch his fights, the man is always fair. He communicates. He protects his fighter. And I think he did a service for Keith Thurman. I thought ultimately, as Keith Thurman put some ice on his head, take a nap, and get his thoughts back, he'll watch the fight and realize that Fundora was about to beat his ass even worse than what he had did it. He talking about busted orbital bones. The referee's trying to stop him from getting his eyes busted. This to stop him from getting hurt. The referee's seen enough of this to know exactly where this was headed. Keith Thurman, if you gave Keith Thurman 4 more minutes, he would have been flat out on that canvas. I promise you that. I mean, he can talk all this stuff about the referee that he wants, but he wasn't showing anything. And Fundora wasn't slowing down. Fundora's pace was picking up. His power punches were landing flesh on Keith Thurman. No, he didn't knock him down at the time. He almost knocked him down in the second round. He was beating him up, bruising him, and uglifying him. And probably by the next round, he would have been on the ground. He would have been on the ground. So, I mean, I guess you could say that the referee could have did a better job in terms of just letting them fight it out. But in any result, I thought the referee was more than fair. And I seen this guy, many fights. He's one of the top 3 or 4 referees in the business currently. He really gets on the fighters. He talks to the fighters. He communicates well with the fighters. He chases them around. He looks for stuff. The dude is a solid referee. Keith Thurman just a little sour grapes to say that the referee wouldn't let him get there. You should have got there before. The man showed you ain't show him enough. You wasn't fighting. You was getting your ass beat. And then when you look at his face, look at his damn face, man. And he's mad at the referee. And could you imagine if he'd have gave another 2 or 3 rounds, this dude eyes would have been completely closed. And then it looks worse now, but it was cut and bleeding down his face. The right eye was. So, no, I'm not going with Keith Thurman with this whole thing about the referees and all this kind of stuff. He blaming the referee for stopping the fight. The man was going to floor your ass, Keith Thurman. Stop being delusional, man. That's what it was. Let's hear the rest of this.
Try to raise your hand. We'll try to get a mic to you. So,
Keith, just wanted to ask you, I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is you were kind of setting him, you were working to set him up
Please.
To land the hard punches that we saw from you during the fight.
Please.
Yeah, when I was watching some tape, I mean, Mendoza caught him late. I just started to catch him a little bit,
Man,
right before Tim Tszyu
thing.
retired in the 8th. He had the highlights. So I saw that Fundora gets a little bit sloppy around.
If you're using Tim Tszyu as a blueprint to how to beat Fundora, bro, you wasn't gonna make it there, bro. You look at your eyes were already about to close. He was getting popped, and you looked at if you look at Fundora's face, he wasn't doing any damage to Fundora at all. Fundora, he could have got in the ring, 15 minutes and fought another guy. He had no damage done to him. Keith Thurman didn't do enough to slow Fundora down. Fundora was walking through whatever Keith Thurman was throwing, and that's why Keith Thurman looks like what he's looking like versus Fundora. No real damage at all to him. So if he was trying to use the Tim Tszyu blueprint, where you get your ass, but Tim Tszyu landed some shots on Fundora, but he had to pay to get there. We talking about guys face blooded and all that. So if that was your blueprint to win, man, please, you wouldn't have got there. You wouldn't have got there. Tim Tszyu's a little younger than you. I think the power might be a little bit better with Tim Tszyu too, more than you. So, but man, listen, whoever you talking about is not going to cut it, because Fundora was not slowing his pace up against you. His pace was picking up, and he was still throwing punches in bunches on Keith Thurman. So anyway, sour grapes for Keith Thurman. I can't get behind. I like Keith Thurman, but I can't endorse that foolishness that he's talking about, man. And speaking of foolishness, how about this damn guy? He's back in it. He went to the fight, and he talking major smack, man. At one time, I really liked these guys, but boy, that little team that they had with the Charlo boys and Errol Spence, nice F Errol, and he talking about getting this kind of stuff. Well, remember when Jermell Charlo fought against Canelo Alvarez, he sold out to get the fight and then lost in 7 rounds, then didn't fight again because he had the money. He sold out for the money. Now he's talking, I did lose my belts, all this kind of rigmarole. Now he's back at it, trying to drum up a fight to get back into the ring. You sold it out. You sold it out, man. And these dudes are so delusional, man. Here we go, man.
Zayas. He ain't worth shit. I knocked him out, but he everything that they want. Man. I'm not gonna mention the little fish and the little lion. I'm the big dog.
Bro, get a man. I remember Charlos, both of them, man, used to talk about not getting no respect and all this kind of stuff, how they never got. But when they finally got to the apex of their careers, look what they became. Look what they became. And those were some of my most favorite fighters, Carmen. When they got to and tasted some of the success and then got some of the money, look what it became, man. Such a tragic story, man.
I don't know what else to do in boxing right now. I've been waiting and trying. I don't know what else.
Jermell, you were the man of this division.
He don't know what to do. Jermell Charlo could fight if he wanted to. There's nobody stopping Charlo from fighting. He can take lesser fights. He hasn't fought in a while. The last time Jermell Charlo fought was 9/30 of 2023. Of 2023. We're in April of 26. We're what is it? March the 29th of 2026. The last time Jermell Charlo fought was September the 30th of 2023. But he's saying you sold out for the bag. Yeah, we know Jermell Charlo had the IBF, the WBC, and the WBO belts. But what happened to those? All of them are gone. Now, Jermell Charlo could take a more humble route to get back in there and start getting fights again. But he hasn't done anything. And, of course, he was dealing with mental issues. Warring with his twin brother, them going at each other, I think over a woman or whatever it is. But the reality is the success really kind of ruined these guys, because Charlo is how old is he right now? How old is Charlo? I mean, he's getting up in age as well. He hasn't fought in almost 3 years. That's a long time to be laid off here. It's a long time to be laid out. And the reality is it's so sad to hear this type of commentary, because then you go from being the guy that aspersions are being cast on to the guy that's throwing out these aspersions, the Fundora and Thurman and all these other fighters. You could fight. You might have to take a more humbler route there, but work your way up. A lot of these guys with the egos, they don't think they need to do that.
But each of your titles went vacant, man. What do you say to people?
I think I should send up some lawsuits like Davis did. And get my belts back, because like I didn't get it. They took my belts over.
We gotta defend them to not get stripped.
Why y'all take my belts then?
Because you gotta defend them to not get stripped, Jermell.
I get that, but I defended. I mean, when I fought in 2023, I was stripped on my WBO title before I even fought. So I didn't get my.
But one way or another.
But see, the commentary is the organization stripped him. Remember, they were threatening, if you go back and do the research, because we was talking about this at the time before he fought Canelo Alvarez, that the organizations were threatening to strip him. He needed to fight. He needed to defend those belts, and he didn't defend those belts. What he did was he ultimately decided to go get the money, and as a result, that's what you get. You defend your titles, or get stripped. He got stripped. He went and got the bag.
If you don't defend them for 4 years,
exactly,
they're gonna get taken off you.
Right.
I get that.
Okay, then what you promised?
4 years, motherfucker. I ain't been out the ring 4 years, stupid.
Since 154.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Since June 154.
I've been out the ring since. I've been out the ring.
Why are you talking reckless like this to the reporter, dog? Why you saying all this stuff? The man told you. You don't have a stake. You don't have a comment here. Jermell Charlo did not defend the belts. That's why he got stripped. He decided to go get the bag from Canelo. He hadn't fought since. Nobody's stopping him from fighting. He still could fight. He could take other fights to stay active. He hasn't fought. Jermell Charlo has not fought since what is it? October? September? It's September the 30th of 2023. That was the Canelo Alvarez fight. Look it up, in T-Mobile Arena, in which he lost the fight. Unanimous decision, lost the fight. What it went down? 7 rounds. Charlo down, and he got down in 7 rounds? He took a knee or whatever it was. I forgot. It was so bullshit. It's a bullshit fight. He went in there and looked scared in the fight, and then get up here with all this tough talk. Where was all that when you fought Canelo?
Since 2023, and I've been asking every day to come back. But we ain't gonna tell him that. We ain't gonna tell him that. I hate him. But
this man, and obviously, man, let me say this, bro. He's not obviously thinking clear, and we know that the Charlo brothers are dealing with mental stuff. As you could tell. These brothers, they've been going at each other. You could tell that they've been dealing with mental issues. So I understand that as well.
But we here. What y'all talking about? We've been here a long time ago. Y'all was giving everybody else fights. Only issue with Arnold is he got in the ring for Fundora. You can't handle that. You can't handle that. You can't beat Fundora. I just watched him. He can't beat Fundora. I just watched him. Now, if he could beat Fundora, fight me first.
Why would he need to fight you? You wasn't positioned anywhere, Jermell. Why would he need now? Keith Thurman was active. That's the difference. Like we talked about with Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman kind of talked his way into the fight against Fundora. He did the old school method. He was talking crap about him and what he was going to do and all this kind of stuff. He kind of talked about it. But the reality is that Keith Thurman has been active. He has been active. The Pacquiao fight was in 2019. Then a couple years later, he had the Mario Barrios fight, in which that was a win for him, a unanimous decision win back in February of 2022. Then he fought Brock Jarvis. Y'all remember that one? Brock Jarvis in Sydney, Australia, right? He went over there to Sydney and fought him. He beat him with a TKO, and then he had that fight was March of last year. So he's been active. And then, of course, Sebastian fight of yesterday, he has been active. Jermell Charlo hasn't fought in almost 3 years. 2.5 years, going on 3 years, coming up in several months from now. He has not fought, and nothing should be stopping. I know during that time he was dealing with mental issues and stuff like that, but didn't say that because the boxing organization was like, man, listen, we want you. What's going on? And they were real generous with holding. People was asking why what's going on. Remember that these boxing organizations was holding the belts for. They were holding, and people complaining about it. Why is Charlo not fighting this type of stuff? I remember they made statements about him saying that he's dealing with some mental health issues, and they were working with him. Then up to a point, what are they supposed to do? They got to turn you loose at some point, and then when you ultimately come back, and I get what he's saying, don't get me wrong, I understand what Charlo's saying, but at the same time, understand the whole thing, that, you have a certain amount of time to defend, and now you're talking about, give me an opportunity to step back, and he considers himself a champion in recess. And once when he come out of recess, he should be stepped forward in that light to let happen, but the organization might not be seeing that. Perhaps he takes a lesser fight or two, maybe some fights against some other fighters to get back into it again. It'll be if Jermell Charlo got in a ring with Sebastian Fundora and had a fight with Sebastian Fundora in the ring like Keith Thurman did, he would get his ass beat just the same way Keith Thurman. I don't know if he gets him out in the 5th round or the 6th round or whatever the case may be. But ultimately, Charlo would be rusty. It might even be quicker. It might be even quicker because he is not fighting. He hadn't fought in over 2.5 years, where Thurman was, and Fundora would have annihilated him. He would have knocked him out. So I don't know. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Who's this you're saying? Could that fight you first? You talking about Keith still or
Get
something?
on my face, dude. Ask somebody. Everybody can't beat me. Who can beat me in this division?
If you had a choice right now, who would you prove? Like, who would be like, I beat that guy right now, put him in the ring and with me?
That bitch that just fought. Fundora, what the fuck you talking about? I fight Fundora, he just got the belt.
You get what? You get.
Nobody took my title. Nobody.
You gave up your titles, homeboy. You gave your titles up, bro. You wasn't defending the titles, bro. You wasn't. And if you're really serious, when you march back, take some fights. They don't have to be championship fights, and it'd be to your benefit to take some few fights to get back on your feet. You haven't fought in a long time.
My titles because I fucking out of blood. Get the money, dummies.
So get the money, dummies. If you getting the money, dummies, then what you complaining about? You sold your soul to get the fight with Canelo Alvarez. The people stripped you, and they warned you before they stripped you. Some people, and it's just really ridiculous to even go from here.
Get the money, dummies.
How the politics look now for
Get out
you?
here. Get out here. Get out here. I'm just gonna say what's up. Baby, that's all I got. Just make sure you got it. Get me out of here.
No, I love you. You gotta say what's up. That's it.
The fuck Fundora, fuck Keith Thurman, I couldn't do. I should have. I ain't worried about none of them. Fuck Earl Spence, fuck Zaire, and fuck Boots, fuck all y'all 154.
Okay, so yeah, that's real, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think. I don't agree with the brother. I just think that he still got issues going on mentally, because if Jermell Charlo would have fought Sebastian Fundora last night, he would have got destroyed. He would have got knocked out before 5 rounds, before the 5th round, the 6th round. He would have got dispatched. He hadn't fought, and you talking about jumping in the ring with an active fighter, and you hadn't fought in 2.5 years, he would have got destroyed in the fight. It wouldn't have been good for him, a good look. Show people that you serious about what you're doing. Go get back in the ring and fight other opponents. Look at Rolly back here in the back. Go back and fight other opponents and get your weight up again. That's something that you did when you call yourself Lion First or whatever the case may have been. You're too good to go the regular route that everybody go through now. You're too good to take the route. Go fight lesser fighters, man. So I don't think Charlo is not going to get that situation. I don't think he's going to get it because he's not really focused on something like that, man, to do that. So like I said, fam, here go the receipts right here about Charlo. He hadn't fought. Now, he was active leading up to it. Tony Harrison, he got that victory against Jason Rosero. He beat him. Then you had the Brian Castano fight, which was, a decision fight that had to go, for them to fight again. And then ultimately he fought it again, and then he KO'd him. And then he had the Saul Alvarez fight where he got, he was down in the 7th round. So, like I said, and you can see right here the date, 9/30 of 2023. He hadn't fought in a while, and he was very disrespectful to those reporters. Reporters said nothing wrong. Everything he said was facts. That you wasn't defending, and they were threatening to strip him. If he was, I'm telling y'all, we covered it, you can Google it, that Jermell Charlo was, the organizations were threatening to strip him if he fought Canelo. He just said he took the bag. Well, in the end, you took the bag, and guess what? You out in the cold now. So go spend your money somewhere else. If you want back in, then you got to fight your way up. That's what these organizations are saying. He don't want to hear that. He wants to say, okay, I'm a champion in recess. When I jump back in, then I jump back in where I'm at. And the people saying, nope, you're going to have to do something else. So since you don't run your own shit and you won't box in their stuff, you got to do what they say. That's how it works. Unless you get your own stuff, which he won't do.